Hey guys, what's up? It's Hyperion11 here, doing another movie review. As you can probably tell by the title as well as the thumbnail, tonight I'm doing a review over Frozen 2. Frozen 2 just came out, I believe it was, I'm pretty sure it was this month, December. Or, no, it's now January, my bad. Last month in December, or possibly November, I can't remember exactly when it came out. Um, Me and my wife have now seen it two times. First time at the theater, and then we just watched it again just tonight. So I thought it'd be good to do a video, kind of get my thoughts on what I thought about the movie, um, some of the things I didn't really like about the movie. Just kind of, because there's some things I liked about it and some things I was like, okay. um, but anyway, before we get into it, I do just want to say you guys have already crushed 11 views over on the first video I've done for this channel, which was the Rise of Skywalker review. And it's only been up 2 hours. I did that just a couple hours ago, got that uploaded up, even though I technically shot it last night, technically last year. But thank you guys for just kind of crushing uh, you know, crushing that. It's great to see it do so well with it only being, up and uploaded for just a couple hours. And I'm sure that I hope that number just increases. Also, if you haven't done so, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that like button, especially if you like this video. By doing both of those, you help me out tremendously. And like I always say, don't ever be afraid to leave a comment down in the comments. The only thing I'll say about that is just do please be respectful. Obviously, everybody's going to have their own opinion about this movie. And not everybody's opinion is going to be the same as yours. So if you leave a comment, just be respectful about it. That's all I ask. Other than that, let's go ahead and get into what I liked about Frozen 2. And the first thing that really comes to mind, if I had to say what I liked about Frozen 2, is that I felt like they did a good job with continuing the story. Now they went down a path with with the sequel that I kind of expected them to. Um, Now, of course, not with the whole Enchanted. Nobody could have really guessed that. But as far as the mystery behind their parents, and some of their heritage, and trying to dive into the mystery, a lot of that was actually kind of set up in the very first movie that came out back in 2012, 2011. One of those two. It came out either in 2012, 2011. And I feel like it did just a really great job of kind of continuing the story. Um, like I said, they went kind of the safe route by doing something that people were kind of already expecting. But then again, yeah, it's the safe route of doing things, but it's also kind of the smarter way of doing things as well. It's smarter for them to go ahead and produce a movie that people are already kind of expecting and put their own spin on it than it is to kind of abandon those ideas and go with something else. Um, so as far as like Jennifer Lee and Chris Buck, which the movie was actually directed by both of them, I was pretty happy with the way they took things. As far as having our characters go to the enchanted forest and trying to dive into the mystery behind Elsa and her powers, which I want to talk more about here in just a minute, or just their parents and their heritage, and some different things that happened in the past. I was really happy where Jennifer Lee and Chris Buck kind of went with that. Another thing I think this movie did really well is a lot in the first movie. And if you can hear my 6-month-old in the background, I apologize. She's just a little bit sleepy. And we're just now getting her to bed, or really her mom's putting her more to bed than I am right now. But another thing that I think that they did really well is, in the first movie we seen Elsa almost afraid to use her powers. Now we seen her use them, and we kind of got to see some things that she could do. Whereas, but in this movie we get to see her explore more into it. Bigger, better stuff with it. Yeah, I thought that was great. I think with this movie, with the direction that the first one kind of took, is setting, excuse me, with setting everything up, I thought I liked it very well. I liked seeing her kind of explore more into her powers, especially into how she got them, which kind of ties back with what we were talking about earlier. Um, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed all of that. Very smart to do that, and because if she was still kind of hesitant, then it feels like the first movie never really got us anywhere. But they definitely did a good job as far as that. Um, More things about this movie. Olaf. Olaf has some of the funniest lines in this movie that I think he's had in either movie. To be honest with you, um, I think I'd almost be willing to say I think Josh Gad, his character of Olaf, was a lot funnier in this movie than he was in the first one. Now, don't take that the wrong way. I'm not saying that Olaf wasn't funny in the first Frozen, because of course he was. I just think the jokes were a little bit better from him. In this movie, I definitely enjoyed. I felt like all them jokes hit. I've seen a couple of reviews where they didn't think they. A lot of people don't think they hit quite well. I'm not really in that group. I thought the jokes were fine. I laughed at them. I felt like they hit right. Right where they, right about where they were supposed to. Of course, Idina Menzel and Kristen Bell as Elsa and Anna, a great performance. Again from them. Jonathan Groff as Kristoff. They even bring in some new characters like Lieutenant Matthias, I think it was. I think it was Lieutenant Matthias. Queen Aduna, I think that's how you pronounce her name. As well as Ryder, which was the young boy that also liked to talk to the reindeers, kind of like Kristoff. Um, I thought the performances from the cast was just another really really great hit. I think all the cast did another wonderful job. The next thing I kind of want to talk about when talking about the good, and I'm trying to speed things along here because we are already at almost 8 minutes. Is the songs. Now I'm going to talk about the songs a little bit later, more in the mixed and bad aspects of the movie. But I also want to kind of mention them here because I did thoroughly enjoy the songs. I thought, they were original. I don't know if they were quite as good as the first movie, but then again, I wasn't really expecting them to be either. Just because the soundtrack and the music when it came to the first film was really good, which is a lot of reason why it got as much hype as it did. The soundtrack was pretty amazing, the first one, so I wasn't expecting the soundtrack to be as good in this movie, and I definitely don't think I would say that it was. But it was still good. They still brought some that were original and some that were kind of not. And like I said, I'll get into that here in just a minute. I think some of my favorites from this movie were definitely Kristoff's solo while in the woods. There's this song that Elsa sings in the beginning that I kind of like, but then again, it's kind of reflecting a song that she sang in the first movie. And Show Yourself at the end, I thought was really well. Those three were probably my favorite three songs from this movie. So another really great soundtrack as well. All these things I enjoyed. Trying to think if I need to add anything else as far as what I liked about this movie. I think it might be better to start writing some notes and have them ready ahead of time. I think that kind of sums it up for the good. Let's go ahead and move into what I didn't like so well about this movie. And definitely, most definitely the first thing that comes to mind as far as an issue that I kind of had with it was the third act. Um, and by the if you guys have seen it, most of you will know. Um, the third act, the conclusion. If you haven't seen it, I don't really want to spoil it for you guys. But basically, we have Anna, trying to figure out what to do, figures out what to do to fix the issue that they're having, and then just does it. And when she does it, you're still sitting there thinking, okay, we've got that solved. What's next? What are we gonna have to do next to make everything's right? And instead of getting that, it's just kind of like, well, time to conclude everything up, and the ending credits roll. Uh, so it's just one of those conclusions that I felt was like a little bit too easy. It wasn't very complex at all. It was basically like, here's what we're going to do. We do it. You know, concluding that up. I think the reason for that being is because they spent a little bit too much setting it up, trying to set up the ending. And so when it actually came to doing it, they kind of cut it. And I do really believe that that is probably the kind of the issue there. Like I said, that's not really a cast thing. It's more of, I just feel like you could have made it a little bit more difficult for our characters in this movie to resolve the issue. The second thing that I'd like to mention as far as the bad goes is kind of going back into the songs. Like I said, I really enjoyed them. I thought it was still a really great soundtrack, but a lot of them did mirror a couple of the songs from the first movie. There's one that Elsa sings at the beginning that sounds like when Anna's singing "Open the Gates," and then later Elsa, picks up at the end, kind of does that same thing. As well as Olaf, he's talking about summer in the first one, and he sings a song in the second act of this film, just very very similar to that same song. So I just feel like the soundtrack was good, but it could be a little bit more original. Um, I do think there was a couple that kind of piggybacked off of some of the songs from the first film. So that's just kind of something I wish they would have done a little bit, just a little bit better. Um, Other than that, though, I mean, as far as things I didn't like about that, kind of concludes, some of my main issues with the film. Everything else, I enjoyed very well. So anyway, before I give you guys my final thoughts on Frozen 2, again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. You guys help me out tremendously by doing that. So please, don't forget to hit both of those. I've realized the past two nights I've done kind of two Disney films. The first being Star Wars, which is now owned by Disney, and now doing Frozen 2, so I think tomorrow night I'll try to switch it up a little bit. I'm seriously thinking about maybe doing It 2. Maybe doing a horror movie. I've seen the first one. I have yet to see the second one. So I'm probably going to go tomorrow and I'm going to watch that. And of course, I'll be getting my review out on that as soon as possible. It will more than likely, the review on that will actually probably be tomorrow morning. Which for you guys, it will be tomorrow morning, but for me, it'll actually not be tomorrow, but next morning, because this video for me will be dropping tomorrow morning. I've also been watching The Witcher on Netflix, so I am going to be dropping a review about what I kind of thought as far as that show goes. Currently, I've watched episodes 1 through 5. I've still got just 6, 7, 8 to go, and I'll have the show finished. So I'll probably be doing a review on The Witcher probably Saturday or Sunday, if I had to say. So if that's something that you guys are looking for, definitely make sure you stay tuned for that video. But anyways, we're at 15 minutes here. So my final thoughts on Frozen 2. Parents, it's a great movie for your kids. Definitely, if they haven't seen it, I strongly urge you guys to go see it. It is another really great hit. From this world and from this universe of Disney. Just could be maybe a little bit more complicated resolution conclusion at the end in the third act, and could be a little bit more original with their songs. But other than that, like I said, I still enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it both times. I'd say I probably enjoyed it watching it more the second time, honestly, than I did the first time. So if you kind of really don't like it the first time, I'd maybe go and watch it again. Because, I mean, I still liked it the first time. I just think I liked it a little bit better as far as entertainment, would rank it a little bit higher after I watched it the second time. But definitely go check it out, guys. And other than that, that's going to be kind of it for this video. We have already hit 16 minutes, so I'm definitely going to go ahead and cut it off. And I will see you guys in the next movie review. Have a great night.